So today I'm going to be making pizza in my pizza oven. So I'm going to start off by showing you how to make the pizza dough. So this has been my go-to pizza dough recipe for years and years and years. I've used this recipe on countless occasions and it always comes out perfect every time. So I make it in the dough cycle in my bread machine. It's a no-brainer, but you can easily do the same thing in a mixing bowl. You'll just have to make sure that the dough gets kneaded. If you have a kneading tool on your mixer, even better. But the bread machine really is amazing. So I start off with 1/3 cup, 1 1/3 cup of hot water. So this is going to be hot water right out of your faucet. To that, you're going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar. And this is going to be what helps activate the yeast when you put that in. 2 teaspoons. You're going to do 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. There's 1 1/4. And I just put it in the the exact order that it's written down, and it's always worked out great. After the salt, you're going to put in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's going to go right into the hot water. There's 1, 2. There you go. So you're going to put that in. And at this point, you're going to add 4 cups of flour. So I actually have my flour right here. I'm going to just add this 1. Let me move this over so it's easier to get in the container here. 2. Now, depending on how much humidity there is and all that kind of stuff, you may need to put a little bit more, a little bit less, but pretty much the 4 cups does it for me. Very seldom do I have to adjust it. Now, at this point, we're going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. Like so. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm actually going to put in close to 1/2 because I really like garlic. Like so. Then it calls for 1 1/2 teaspoons of yeast. And I just use an active dry yeast. Like so. This is one I already had open from another recipe. So I think it almost has the right amount in it. There's 1, and just a little bit more. I think that is 1 1/2. I'm going to just put the rest in because it's really just a hair. So at this point, I'm going to close up my Breadmaker. I've got it set to the dough cycle, so all I'm going to do is hit start. Now my Breadmaker preheats. It's got a preheat cycle on it, but as soon as it's ready, it'll run through the kneading, the rising, the whole thing, and when it turns into dough, then I'll show you the next step. So as you can see, the fire is starting to take off in a couple of places, and I've got some air kind of right underneath it. I've cleaned out my pizza oven, and now I'm just going to be getting the fire started. Okay, so I've got a nice little fire going from kindling. So what I'm going to do is move the fire back. I've got a broom with a wet towel on it, and what I like to do is just move this fire back in the pizza oven, and then I'm going to put some other wood on top of it. So as you can see, I moved the kindling to the back of the pizza oven. All I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a little bit more kindling down, and then I'm going to lay some of the wood down over it. Okay, I got a nice fire going in the back of the oven. I've cleaned all of the bottom of the oven floor, and so I'm just going to wait for that to heat up, and then I will put my pizza together pretty quick. I need to let this get nice and hot in there. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for my pizza oven to heat up, my dough is ready, and as you can see, it looks absolutely perfect. So all I'm going to do at this point is take it out of the pizza maker, or actually this is a bread maker. But I'm just going to take this out and start making it into a couple of pizzas. This is a really nice dough to work with. As you can see, there's a little bit of garlic left over there. I need to get my little thing out, but that's about it. You just put a little bit of flour down on your surface. You're not really going to need this much because the dough is completely ready for you. So all we're going to do now, I think I'm just going to shape it into a couple of loaves, and then I'm going to roll it into some pizzas. So this is about the size of the dough that I kind of like to work with. It's just perfect. And all you're going to do is just shape it into a disc so that you can top it with your favorite pizza items. So there's one started, and here's the other. Just a little bit of flour. And there you go. We'll start making it into pizza. Now, I usually let mine rest for a couple of minutes before I start rolling it out into pizza. So we're just gonna let it kind of sit here for a minute and just relax. I'm gonna go check, make sure my fire's going really good. Now you can roll your pizza out with a rolling pin if you like. Whatever works for you. I've just found if you just keep stretching it, just keep working on it that way, it actually works out really good. Is because I like to get that little browned around the edges. Plus it helps me kind of push it out into like the shape of a pizza. Now when you're making a wood-fired pizza, you don't have to have it completely round or anything else. I mean, you make it the way that you want it. So this is pretty good here. I'm gonna go ahead and just lay this down here. This is going to be my first pizza, and then I'll get working on the second one. Okay, so I've got my sauce ready, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on my pizzas. Now, this is a sauce that I make out of tomato paste. I use some fresh garlic. I use some of my homestead patch herbs, and I just put this together. It is extremely good. It's got a lot of flavor, and I'm not a huge sauce fan, so I don't put a ton on, but of course you put however much you want on your pizzas. I probably had 2 tablespoons of paste And then, like I said, I add water, oh, and a little bit of olive oil to it, and my herbs and garlic. So that's basically it. It's very easy, comes out really good, has a great flavor. So from there, I'm going to put my pepperoni on one of them, but I'll put some pepperonis on for my husband. He can have some. Enjoy that. And I put the pepperonis on first. I know a lot of people put them on top, but I like to have the cheese melt on top of the pepperonis. Now you can put anything you want on your pizza. If you want, you know, whatever you want, you put whatever you like. Fresh vegetables, spinach. Now, if you don't want to do a marinara type pizza, you can do an Alfredo pizza, or you can even do like an oil and garlic pizza. I mean, there's just all kinds of things that you can make. So to this, I am actually going to add my cheese at this point before I put the rest of my my different veggies on. Just like so. You just want cheese all over the pizza, like so. Now I grated this fresh, so it's not, you know, it's not one of the bag mozzarellas. Put as little or as much as you like on your pizza. This looks really good to me. Put a little bit more here. And then what I'm gonna do, of course, is put some onions on that. And these were some strong onions, and I am not exaggerating. I cried the whole time I cut these up, so that hasn't happened in a long time, but one of the other reasons I use a glass jar for my onions. So these were some peppers that I grew last year that I've had frozen. Now, I go through lots of peppers, so I grow a lot of them in my garden. This is a mixture of the Ajavarski, the Jimmy Nardello, and just some green bell peppers. And they're extremely sweet, the red ones are. They're very good. I just put them on frozen. It comes out perfect. And just like so. Try to get a little bit on everything. I'm gonna put the rest of these peppers back in the freezer. And then, as if this isn't enough insult to injury, I'm gonna put a little bit more of this parsley garlic on the top. Woo, that smells good. And I'm gonna put some of my homestead patch herbs. Now these are the oregano, the rosemary, the thyme, onions, garlic. It's all kinds of stuff that I've dehydrated and thrown together. And I'm just gonna top it with some Parmesan, and then I'm gonna throw these in the oven. Don't judge me, I am using the shredded Parmesan from the green can, but for me, I like it very much. And I'm also just gonna put a little drizzle of olive oil. Not a ton, but just a little to give it a nice flavor. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get these pizzas put into the oven. They're kind of sticking a little, but I've got something to do with that. Okay, got it on a pizza peel. I'm just gonna put this right in the oven here. Before I do that, I'm gonna turn this other one. There are 2 pizzas. I'm gonna be turning those just to make sure that all the sides get into the heat. Okay, it's time to cut the pizzas. So I'm just going to cut these. And then we're gonna have some pizza for Memorial Day. There's the one without the pepperoni. And this is the pizza with the pepperoni. You can see the crust is nice and crunchy. It's cooked all the way through. Smells delicious. Very garlicky, very cheesy. And there you go. I think that should be enough for 2 people. All right, I'm gonna give it a little taste here. And this is the non-pepperoni. Look at the back of that, how beautiful. Happy Memorial Day.